Let me start off by making this point and asking you to comment on it. We talk a lot about wasting money in government, and one of the ways we waste money is by not putting funds into prevention, allowing situations to deteriorate, whether it's in healthcare and education or many other areas. In America today, Mr. Duncan, as you probably know, 18% of our children live in poverty, and that is by far the highest rate of poverty for children of any country, major country on earth. Meanwhile, the other side of that equation is we have more people in jail than any country on earth, including China. Amazing fact. In your judgment, is there a correlation between the high rate of childhood poverty and the fact that so many kids drop out of school, intellectually drop out by the time they're 8, do drugs, do crime, do self-destructive activity, and we end up spending $50,000 a year keeping them in jail rather than investing in education, rather than investing in childcare? Part of that question, what are you going to do to deal with the disaster in terms of childcare and early childhood education so that in Vermont and all over this country, working families today, at the most important moment in a child's life, cannot find high-quality, affordable childcare?
Yeah, well, as the president-elect has talked about repeatedly, and he has a huge passion and commitment around this, he totally understands, totally gets the fact that the best thing we can do for children is give them quality, give them access to high-quality early childhood programs. And so the more we're getting to our young children before they hit kindergarten, the more this is not glorified babysitting, but really getting their early literacy skills, their early socialization skills intact so they hit kindergarten ready to read and ready to learn, the better our students are going to do. As a country, if we can invest more in education and less in jail cells, I think that's absolutely what we all have to be thinking about.
Specifically with regard to childcare, do you agree that our current early childhood education situation is totally inadequate? And what can you tell us will happen in the next 4 years?
Well, again, as the president-elect has said repeatedly, he wants to increase not just the quality, but access to early childhood education. I will tell you, in Chicago, we've each year increased by 1,000 to 1,500 seats the number of children able to go into high-quality programs for 3- and 4-year-olds. And so it's the kind of thing the president, again, has from day one, reiterated his tremendous commitment to improving both the quality and the access around the country.
Would you agree that our goal should be that every parent in this country should be able to find access to high-quality, affordable childcare?
I think we have to move towards that opportunity to universal access. Again, the more we're getting to our children early, the better they're going to do.
In terms of prevention and protecting people's well-being and saving money, I know Senator Harkin has been a leader on this. In terms of health care, primary health care, I know in Vermont we're beginning to have a little bit of success with dental facilities in schools, health care facilities. So there's the idea of bringing health care into the schools so that we can detect kids' problems early on. Makes sense to you?
Well, this is a larger point, and I touched upon earlier in my statement that I think the more our schools become community centers, the more they become centers of community and family life, the better our children can do. So the days in which schools being open 6 hours a day and the child goes home for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at 2:30 with mom at home, that doesn't work for two-parent working families. That doesn't work for single moms working 2 and 3 jobs. That doesn't work for, in Chicago, 9,000 homeless children.
And it certainly doesn't work in Vermont. The world has changed, and we have not recognized that anymore.
The more we're creative in thinking about how our schools are open, not 6 hours, but 12 hours, and Saturdays and over the summer, the more we're co-locating services, GED, ESL, healthcare clinics, the more those schools become the centers of community life, the better our children are going to do.
I know that President-elect Obama has been very strong on this issue, and I am, and I'm sure many other members of this committee are, and that's the concept of expanded education, to make it clear that after-school programs should be available, that Saturday programs should be available, that summer programs should be available, so kids, especially lower-income kids, don't lose what they have learned. Does that make sense to you?
It's been a huge fight and passion of mine in Chicago, and that many of the opportunities I had going to a great private school in Chicago, the things that were the norm for me, chance to, whether it's arts enrichment or cultural enrichment or debate or Model UN or chess, those things are somehow seen as extra not important for public school children. And so we've fought very, very hard to dramatically increase, whether it's during the school day or, again, during the non-school hours, to give every child the opportunity to develop their skills, to develop their unique interests and talent, and give them reason to be motivated to come to school every single day. And again, maybe it's the chess team, maybe it's debate, maybe it's yearbook, and we want every child to have those kinds of opportunities to grow their unique skills and interests.
Well, Mr. Duncan, I certainly going to very strongly support your nomination, and I look forward to working with you. And you have just an enormous responsibility on your shoulders, because we have not done well by the kids of this country, and there's so much to be done, and I look forward to working with you to make those changes.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Duncan, I know you have been to Vermont, and we don't have polar bears, but we'd love to welcome you to our state, because there are a whole lot of educators there who have a lot to say. We'd love to. Yeah. Summertime is also a good time. Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't touch on higher education, because my wife is the president of a small college. And I think your point about looking at our problems as a continuum are absolutely right. There is no magic bullet anywhere along the line. But I think one thing that happens is if young people in elementary school or middle school or high school get the feeling they're never going to make it to college, they kind of drop out intellectually and do self-destructive activities. Now, I don't have to tell you, because you know it better than I do, that we have a crisis in terms of the affordability and access to college in America today. We have hundreds of thousands of qualified young people who have given up on the dream. Equally alarming is the fact that millions of young people will leave school $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt, graduate school $100,000 in debt. And they carry that burden on their shoulders for many, many years. And it also heavily influences their choice of careers. I want, Senator Harkin wants the best people in this country to go and become a teacher or a child care worker. Well, they ain't going to do that if you leave school with a $50,000 debt. Last couple of years, we've begun to make some progress, little progress, but nowhere near enough. We passed a debt forgiveness proposal which says that if you go into teaching, for example, after 10 years of work in a nonprofit organization, your debt will be forgiven. Well, 10 years is a long time. Can you give us some specificity as to how we can make college opportunity more affordable for the young people of America, so that more of them can go to college and so that more of them will not leave college with these very oppressive debts?
And as you well know, the president-elect is passionate and absolutely committed on this. So he's set a real goal for us of increasing the Pell Grant amounts. He's set a goal of passing the American Opportunity Tax Credit. He's talked a lot about loan forgiveness for folks that want to go into teaching and go into other professions. I think what's been so appealing to me about his vision, it's really to me this idea of reciprocity or mutual responsibility, that we're going to give you these opportunities, but also expect something to, you to come back to the community and help out. I think that spirit is so important. And so I think there are some very significant ways going forward that we can work together with you, with the president-elect, to increase access, to increase affordability, and to your point, Senator, to make sure that those folks that want to, who would prefer to teach and not go to Wall Street, that they not be compelled to go in a different direction because of their loan obligations. And I remembered well the conversation with your staffer, who's facing very, very significant loan challenges.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
She's still facing those obligations.
Yeah. And we want to get the best and brightest to come into these fields, and we need to find ways to make it possible for them to chase their dreams.
Well, thank you very much for that, I think, excellent answer. But on a very specific issue, there is the work-study program in college, and most of the money, as we discussed in my office, which I just recently learned as well, goes to on-campus activity, working in the library, working in the cafeteria. Do you think we could take a look at expanding that so that students get work-study money working as a mentor in a public school or a child care center?
Yeah, no, that was a great point, and that's an area where I need to really learn more, and that was the first time I had heard that, was talking to you. And as I talked earlier, we have hundreds and hundreds of college students, probably thousands, who are in our schools every single day in Chicago. My mother's inner-city tutoring program has been staffed for years and years by phenomenal talent from the University of Chicago and others, and it's been sort of a lifeblood of her program. And so I need to better understand the facts and the challenges and what needs to happen there. But again, philosophically, if you could get more students these kinds of opportunities, I think the benefits for our children around the country would be great, but I think very importantly, when our college students get exposed to the possibilities of teaching, the possibilities of working in community centers and healthcare clinics, that may influence their career choices. And so I think there are lots of benefits there. I want to understand, again, the intricacies of the challenges, but directionally, I love where you're trying to push.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Duncan. And again, what an opportunity you have to transform education and improve the lives of millions of young people, and I'm very excited about the possibility of working with you.
I'm thrilled with the possibility as well. Thank you.